I'm Jessie Frazelle, and this is Go Time.
It's Go Time, a weekly podcast where we discuss interesting topics around the Go programming language, the community, and everything in between. If you currently write Go or aspire to, this is the show for you. So we are back for episode number 11 of Go Time. I'm Eric St. Martin. Today we have Brian Kettleson on the line. Brian.
Hello.
And Carlicia Campos.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
And our special guest today is the Queen of Containers, Jessie Frazelle. How are you?
Good. How about you all?
Doing great. So we are back. We were out last week and we are back. We've got some good news before we get started. Today we're going to talk to Jessie about containers, all things containers, working on open source projects and any other fun topics that we come up with along the way. Before we get started, we have two kind of exciting pieces of news. First, Carlicia is now officially a full-time Go developer.
Woo!
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about that, Carlicia?
Sure. So I've been open to this possibility for a while now, and I will be joining the fine folks at Fastly next week. Next Tuesday will be my first day there, and I'll be in San Francisco for my onboarding week, and I'll be working remote from San Diego. I'm super excited. Should definitely check out Fastly. They're awesome.
Oh, that's great. We're excited for you.
Great news.
That's such a good team. I love all of them.
Yeah, no more Ruby.
No more Ruby. Just Go. APIs and network stuff.
So, and the second piece of news is not only are we not kicked off, but we have sponsors. So we actually have two sponsors for this episode. Linode, who will be doing all of our hosting for the changelog and GoTime CMSs that are being worked on, we've talked about before, and also Equinox. And we'll talk a little bit about each of those later in the show. But first, let's get started with Jessie. So Jessie, you also have a new job, right?
Yeah, so I started 2 weeks ago at, 2 weeks ago at Google. But I really have only done 1 week of orientation, and then I went to a conference, so it's sort of surreal.
The business as usual for you, right? A week of work, a week of conferences.
Yeah. I mean, I submitted a few pull requests, so there was that. I think I need to update them. But yeah, business as usual.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
So you're getting to work on Kubernetes or?
Yeah, so I'll be working on Kubernetes. I don't know like specifically what yet. I just, before I had previously made a PR to add seccomp to Kubernetes, and then I made like a pull request to also clean up some Docker files and then go lint a few things. So hopefully that's good.
I want to put some word in and say congratulations, Jess.
Thanks.
No, that's awesome. Everybody seems to be going to work for Google now. I keep seeing everybody joining Google. So
it's pretty nice.
Are you working with like Kelsey and everybody too?
Yeah, so like Kelsey and them are all there, and like Francesc. It's all super cool people, it seems. And even like my first week, there was like multiple people emailing me who I had like maybe only seen their names on like a kernel mailing list. And I'm like, whoa, you're really cool. So they just have like a ton of really cool people, I guess.
A little starstruck.
Yeah.
Sarah Allen from Bridge Foundry also just joined Google she's doing some mobile work and also using Go.
Nice.
That's awesome news.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long? So you started out on Docker, right? You were there for a few years, right? Or were you on the founding team, or how long were you with Docker?
So I had contributed before joining, but I think I was there like almost a year and a half or something, or a little over a year and a half.
Definitely one of the most well-known members of the Docker team.
Yeah, almost the public face of Docker. Definitely. We should talk about, how hard it is to kind of be the OSS maintainer for such a large project. Yeah,
it's definitely painful. And I actually missed it after after leaving, which I never thought would happen. But it is like super hard to be the person like giving people bad news all the time and then taking people's crap when they're frustrated because stuff's not working, which totally makes sense. And I get in that mood too when stuff's not working and then go yell at some maintainer somewhere. But I think it's like easy to forget that there's another human being on the other side of the issue.
I wonder if you have opinions on how things could be better for maintainers in such a large project. I'm sure you have opinions.
I have like a lot of crazy opinions. One of the most interesting things I think is like if the maintainers and stuff from Huawei that helped us, they're located in China, I think. But there's like it seems there's a lost in translation type of the fact that they don't insinuate like that we're being mean or something. Because a lot of other people will just like read a response out of context and maybe it's just a little blunt, but it wasn't meant to come off that way. So it's kind of funny that we all realize that the like Huawei contributors would respond back like so nicely, even when like maybe we were being a little bit like disgruntled. So I think like keeping that in mind for everyone would be cool.
I think a lot of people, whenever you're upset about something, you're naturally going to read the other person's response as an attack, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest thing is to take a step back and look at it objectively and not, use your own current mood as your means of interpreting what somebody's saying.
Totally.
So yeah, tons of work. Yeah, I don't envy you.
I can't even imagine. It's like juggling cats that are already juggling chainsaws.
It's like
everything's sharp and everything has claws.
I submitted a pull request like 2 weeks ago to Docker, and I think there was like 80 or something pull requests. And now it's like well over 100. It's like 120 pull requests. It's like, wow.
Oh gosh.
Even keeping
they must
up
be anxious right now. Whenever we got to like 100 or over 100, it's like we need to merge things or close things. It gets scary.
So that was kind of your point. So yeah, I saw that post. I think you posted it on Twitter earlier where somebody was like, my condolences. You're now an open source maintainer.
Yeah.
And I was talking about like finding that comfortable line where, you can't close everything. So for Docker, it's 100.
So like we'll usually stay around like 75 or so. But once it hits over 100, it makes like almost everyone kind of that 3 digits. It's rough. But like issues wise, it's like, I think that we honestly gave up. It's like, not that we don't care about issues, but like, there's no way that's ever going to go to some reasonable number.
Right? No. And once it gets so big, people can't even keep up with the fact that they're submitting duplicate issues because you can't find a similar issue. So yeah.
Yeah. We were even fortunate to have someone who was like so active in the project, like from the community itself. Like, I swear we all like joke that he's like a human database of Docker issues. And he like, I swear he really just like honestly knows them all. And he would be like, this one's a throwback to like this other old one that's super, super old. And so eventually Docker ended up hiring him. And I think that's one of like the greatest moves ever.
It's like Damien for Docker issues.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So do you guys keep statistics of like how long it takes to turn around issues or pull requests and things like that? I'm interested to see whether some have lagged so long you just had to delete them.
Yeah, so issues and stuff, there's definitely stats on this, but I don't actually know the answer. But issues, it's like we don't really care about the oldest there. But with pull requests, we'll have like weekly maintainer meetings, and we'll go through the oldest. And usually the oldest is something where it was like controversial. So it's nice to do those in the maintainer meetings because we can easily get like 2 look good to me from 2 people in the meeting. Or like if people really are objecting to it, they can like voice their concerns there without us having to do 85 bajillion different back and forths on the actual pull request itself. So usually that's only like it's a month old, probably tops.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not as bad as I was expecting it to be. Because you got to figure that it grows faster than it goes down. Because you're either spending time managing other people's pull requests or writing your own code, and that's got to be a hard debate which thing you work on.
Yeah, it's a juggle because we used to I don't know if they still do this. They probably don't. But we would try to have like maintainer days where, like, say on Tuesday, 1 week, I was just closing issues that day. And then the rest of the week, I got to write code. So almost everybody kind of had a day where they did stuff. But I think it happened more organically than that. And that if I was stuck on the actual feature I was building, I would then go and close things to like free my mind. So I think that's almost like the best system, is just when it happens organically. Because when you get like stuck in a maintainer day and like the day before that you were like just about to finish your thing, it sucks.
Yeah.
How's your workflow, Jessie, for accepting PRs or evaluating PRs? Do you download the PR and run locally and run tests? Is there automated? How does it go?
So normally I would just make sure that it has like the first CI passing, which is like checking that it's been signed and all that like stupid legal stuff. And then like if it is actually green in the CI and like say it's just a small bug fix and they added a test case, I'll go in and like check out their change, remove the fix, and then make sure that the test fails without it. And then add it back in and make sure that it passes locally too, even though the CI just did it just for sanity's sake. And then if it's a bigger one, we'll usually have like some sort of design review of it first, unless they just like popped into the repo and gave us a new feature. So yeah, after design review, then we'd like go through and do like a full-on code review. But I would say most pull requests that come in, they're like a typo change or some small fix. Really the feature requests are what take the most time, but when they're done correctly, it can be smoother.
Yeah, so I'm actually quite impressed by the pull request process for Docker when I went through that. Like there's a number of automated CI steps that it goes through. There's a document that it starts out, describe what the problem is, describe how you fixed it, give us a one-liner for what's going to go in the change log. Like there's all this like documentation they expect you to put in there, and it's really clearly defined. It's probably one of the best I've seen doing pull requests.
Nice.
Who put all that together, Jessie?
So the CI stuff, like before I started Docker, like we used Travis and it only ran our unit tests, which like considering that you've made a change to Docker, you probably know that most of our tests are integration tests and they take a really long time. So we were testing the integration test by hand. So 2 people would have to look good to me on the PR and 2 people would have to test that PR locally, which is such a waste of time. It was basically like that comic where it's like, I'm waiting for it to compile, but like you were running tests.
I still rock that t-shirt.
Yeah.
With the sword compiling, carry on.
Totally. So we ended up like switching to Drone, and Drone had some issues with like Docker and Docker because we need very specific things to test Docker since we need Docker for Docker. And yeah, it's crazy.
Docker
and it also just like totally messes with your server after. So we then switched to Jenkins, and I kind of just switched it overnight. And like at first, a few people got mad just because like nobody likes change, and it didn't exactly work right away. But once we got things working, like now it's all still in Jenkins, and there's like multiple architecture builds, and like it's kind of cool. There's like ARM, Power, Z. Like IBM gave us these like Power and Z nodes, and I was like, ooh, mainframe, and then they ended up being really slow. But
Did you hack the Gibson?
it would have been cool.
So talk to us a little bit about what you worked on for Docker, because Docker is a pretty big project, and now it's split up across, I don't even know how many repos and sub projects, but what kind of specifically did you enjoy working on?
Yeah, I think most of the engine team itself worked on more the container runtime stuff and like design of the CLI. And then there was a whole nother team that handled the whole distribution of tarballs. I liked more of that. And then also I ended up doing like that whole thing with the CI where I was like the CI sysadmin for like way too long. And then also I like redid our entire bash scripts for our apt repo and set up a RPM repo as well. Which now they're stuck with these terrible bash scripts because of me. But yeah, there was all that redo.
I hope I have
and
the name right.
yeah,
I think
cool.
it was Yehuda Katz that said this, and he said something along the lines of like, the thing he fears the most about releasing stuff open source is having to maintain it, and it's almost the same thing. You build the CI thing out, and like it's awesome, but now you're the maintainer.
Yeah, and it became like super stressful because the Windows servers that we had for some reason needed to be restarted like every other day. So just like the first 10 minutes of my day were like restarting Windows servers. And I was like, this is such a waste. And there was an entire team that did CI for like the enterprise side of Docker. And so finally they took it over and they like redid it and made it way better than I ever could because I really didn't know that much about Jenkins and stuff like that. So I think now it actually runs like pretty well. But yeah, it was pretty stressful there for a time. The entire CI once broke because of like a stupid kernel bug. And then we ended up upgrading to a kernel with another bug. And so I was basically like, computers just don't work. We should all give up now. But then we got over it.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
Like daily.
Daily, I was going to say.
How can
That
I
sounds
love
like my
tech and
daily.
hate tech so much at the same time?
It's terrible.
So I have a question for you. It's a little bit of a different topic, but you've been at Docker, you've been at Mesos, and now you're at Google. Many people say that Go is kind of the language of the cloud. You've seen pretty much the whole cloud now. What do you think about that preposition?
So at Mesosphere, they were writing a lot of C++, like that's what Mesos is written in. And they even had like some cool like networking stuff in Erlang and things. But other than that, it's all to Go is what I've seen. And I love Go. So obviously I'm biased.
Nobody here loves
but
Go.
I even like made a couple pull requests to Go, and I want to make more as well because it's super fun to contribute to that. It's almost more fun than like something on GitHub for some reason because it's like different and new. But yeah, I would say that it's definitely the language of the cloud.
What is it about Go, do you think, that makes it better for cloud work?
Probably the fast compile time, because I honestly forgot when I was compiling Mesos, like how slow things used to be. And like just with header files and everything needs to compile again. And I was just sitting there like twiddling my fingers, not knowing what to do with life. So that's definitely helpful. And just like being able to compile it into a binary and not have to worry about like SO files and stuff like that is so nice. Distribution. For sure.
Yeah, the static binaries make a huge difference. I would agree with that, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that attracted everybody to the language is being able to do static binaries, but still have kind of a more dynamic feel to the language. Every time I go back to C or C++ and have to wait, like, oh, come on. I think everybody should have to compile one just to keep us honest, though, right? Like,
yeah, because I was complaining about like the slowness that came with upgrading from 1.4 to 1.5 Go, and I was like, "What? I'm a terrible person, such a hypocrite. Like, I should not have done that." After seeing what C++ was like.
Yeah, we've joked about the compile times now, but I mean now they're back down to, I think they split the difference. I think they're less than halfway from where they were from between 1.4 and 1.5. So. We're getting closer, but yeah, if you go back and compile a C or C++ app and then go back to Go, you realize just how fast it is.
It's amazing.
So I guess we should probably stop and talk about sponsors real quick, right? I think now it's a good time, everybody.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Linode is the first one, and we kind of mentioned that all of our new CMS architecture will be hosted on that, ours and changelogs, because we are a part of changelog. So Adam and Jared really, really love Linode, and everything's going to be kind of hosted there. And I think Brian was saying you had some experience with Linode, right, Jessie?
Yeah, so since I set up our CI, we also needed a separate server for testing IPv6 because it's hard to do in most cloud providers. But they had a really good setup, so we ended up using that, which was nice.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, Linode was one of the first VPSs I stood up, many, many years ago, probably 10 or 11 years ago now. And I really enjoyed using it for a long time.
Nice, yeah.
I understand one of the neatest things about their setup is that you've got a CLI tool that you can use to manage it. Just get your API key and go to town managing your nodes directly from your terminal. I'm all about managing stuff from the terminal.
Oh, that's cool. So you can just kind
I
of
didn't
run a
even know
command.
about that, and now I feel like I just did it a terrible way with bash scripts.
Now, one thing that is missing, I know they've got SDKs for Python and Perl, PHP, Ruby, and Java, Node, but there is no Go SDK. So anybody who's out there looking for an opportunity to make a mark in the Go land, a good place to start might be Linode SDK for Go.
And we have a discount code too, which is GoTime20, and you get 2 months free, which is a $20 credit because the nodes are $10 each
per month. Yeah.
Yeah, and these are all SSD, and I think they have 8 data centers to choose from.
They do, and they've got really nice Xeon E5 processors, 40 gigabit network. You can go to linode.com/GoTime to get started. Let them know we sent you because we're awesome and so are they.
So people are asking if they can make an SDK for Linode. Not only you can, but you should. You should do
Right.
a Go SDK for Linode. That's what we're looking for.
How long do we have left on this episode? And go.
And pull request submitted. That's awesome news. So they have lots of add-ons. They can do backups for you. They can do load balancing. They do some management, professional services, and DNS as well. So give them a shot. It's kind of one of the original, the OG VPS providers, if you will, and they're pretty cool. Our other sponsor is Equinox, and we've talked about Alan Shreve a couple times and his other project, Ngrok. Equinox is pretty slick because it allows you to manage updates for the applications that you send out to your customers. And my job at Backplane, we use Equinox to deliver the command line application that lets you update your backends. So Equinox is pretty slick. I think I wrote maybe a 3-line bash script that allows us to deliver that new command line application up to Equinox's server. And then using Equinox's infrastructure, you can either do a brew install or an RPM install, Debian, or just download a tarball or a zip file or a Windows MSI installer. It's amazing that we just do one quick bash script to upload that source code, and it gets compiled for all the different platforms, uploaded to Equinox's infrastructure, and then all of our customers, regardless of their platform, can stay updated all the time. They just have to implement a small API in their app, and then the app becomes self-updating. So when we release a new version, they just type Backplane update, and it automatically upgrades their app. Pretty neat.
Yeah, so that's kind of the coolest thing I thought was the rolling all the RPMs and all that stuff for you. Like Jessie was kind of mentioning that earlier. Like that becomes a process in itself, just kind of deploying all the packages for stuff. And the self-updating thing, I want to play with that. I saw this, he talked about it, I think it was maybe a year or so ago I saw it, and I kept meaning to go play with the self-updating part, and I have not yet, and I feel bad.
It really is. In fact, I think I started at Backplane in mid-April maybe, and it was the first thing I did, maybe my second day there. The first code I submitted was the Equinox client, and we couldn't be happier with how easy it is to run.
Nice.
Very, very nice. So go to equinox.io and sign up for their automated application delivery service with self-updating stuff. You won't be disappointed at all.
And remember, when you support our sponsors, you keep us on the air.
That's right. The network will pick us up for another season. And hopefully that season will be as epic as Game of Thrones is this season.
I think that's hard to compare.
I'm coming in with dragons next week.
But this is true, though. These companies have other places they can advertise, and they're advertising with us because they support us.
Yay, thanks to our sponsors.
So, Jessie, I saw something on your Twitter profile. It got me laughing. Maintainerati.
Oh, yeah.
Coming to a bike shed near you.
So, I decided after I wrote that blog post about closing pull requests to start a conference that's more like an open space for maintainers, because it seemed like a lot of the maintainers that responded to my blog request had cool ideas about ways to fix things, or even just like problems they were having. And they were so similar to the ones that like we saw that I was like, obviously we need a space to talk and combine and conquer.
Oh, that's awesome. So have you set dates and a location for that?
Yeah, so it's going to be thanks to GitHub at their office in San Francisco on February 15th.
Awesome. How many people are going to be there?
So I think we're going to cap it at like 120 for the first one, just so that we can make sure that it's not out of control and certain
You don't want to
people
have
can like
problems
talk and
maintaining
discuss
the
things.
maintainers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And where do people sign up for the event?
So we have a website like maintainerati.org, and right now it's just a form fill out with email addresses, and then I think we're gonna like send out invites pretty soon once I get my life together.
Cool.
Everything about that, I started laughing. Like the coming to a bike shed near you and won't fix cabal.
Yeah, it's called the Won't Fix Cabal, and it's basically run by the Maintainerati because I already own that domain.
So it started with you did the Containerati, right?
Yeah, which I haven't really used that domain for anything cool, and I should. But yeah, somehow like I should combine the two into like the ultimate cabal. I don't know.
Yeah, what would you call that? It's like the Maintainerati of the Containerati, or
Like the red wedding of containers.
I have very serious concerns for the day after this conference. All of these maintainers, anarchists are going to come back and just not fix the internet.
Yeah, they're just going to start closing issues left and right.
Yeah. So like me and Katrina Owen, who like she just recently joined GitHub, she was like, yeah, they want to hear about all the features that like the maintainers want. And I was like, it's so ironic that like we're going to be the ones demanding features from GitHub.
There is a really juicy irony in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
So what other things you got going on lately? You mostly caught up with your new gig with Kubernetes, or you working on anything personally for projects? You're always seeming to be trying to port new things to run inside containers. We actually were joking that you were probably trying to get Skype in a container.
So no, okay. So one, I had Skype working in a container on this computer too that I was trying to use. I literally have like 3 computers in front of me right now. But it just like decided to fail, of course, because of computers. So yeah, I guess personally, I made that like a contain.af website, which I should add more questions to, but it's like a quiz game to help people learn about like figuring out things in their environment as far as what syscalls and capabilities you have. But honestly, I don't have time for that because I'm still trying to like figure out my new job and stuff.
Yeah. So for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, Jessie's dot files are the most amazing thing on the planet. I think that if I could take a month and just go spelunking through those dot files, I would be the happiest man on the planet.
Yeah, I'm not important anymore. Brian used to borrow my dot files.
Sorry.
I went to check out her .vim files because I remember Brian mentioning it. And next week I'm getting a brand new machine. And for the first time in, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I've decided that I'm going to have clean slates.
Ooh.
So I checked out Jess a Vim file, and not only it's the Vim RC file, she actually has a make file there for you to run and just magically configure all the things.
Just use Stove for all of that. That way I can have kind of folders for each thing. And then when I'm on a machine, I can just kind of symlink the things that I want for that machine.
I love the symlink thing. It's so nice.
These dot files are a thing of beauty. So there's containers for everything, and then a beautiful little bash script that converts the command that you want to run into the container command to actually run the container. It's beautiful. How long does it take to build all those Docker files and actually ship them up to a Docker Hub?
So I have a private registry where I host them because for some reason, and I think that they're trying to fix it, like my automated builds on Docker Hub, like they just don't build because I think I just have too many. So I have a private registry that has like Jenkins hook up to it so that it runs continuously and just pushes them there. And then I secretly use that while everybody uses my public ones.
You really are the container queen.
Docker registry is telling you like, all right, Jesse, this is getting out of hand.
So what used to happen, because I have like multiple Docker files in one repo itself, there's like over 100 in that one repo. And it's just like the infrastructure is not built to rebuild all those Docker files the second I push, because I'll push multiple times per day and like maybe like a force push right after I just pushed because I messed something up. So I think it like just times out on like after rebuilding 10 of them, and it's a random 10 every time or something. I have no idea.
It's like a denial of service attack every time you push.
Yeah, it's really bad. And like finally someone noticed that like worked there other than me, because I think that I have like a very long-standing issue open about this. But then they were like, oh, this looks really bad that like your Docker files that a lot of people use are super out of date. And I'm like, yeah, I just kind of gave up on it working. So
I just love every time somebody mentions something, it's almost like you're like, challenge accepted.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's been a while since someone said something that I have not actually containerized yet. So like it makes me worrisome for like the future.
I got a big one for you, a window manager. Like,
oh, nice. Yeah, I've been meaning to try that. Everyone's like, why don't you run i3 in a container? And it just like makes me think that at that point I'm making Rancher on the desktop.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing though?
No, that's something that would be so cool. But I would need help from Darren. He had X working at one point, and I don't know if it was like correct X. He like wouldn't let me use it, and I was like, okay, please.
He was just keeping it a secret to himself.
Yeah, like either it was so bad that he didn't want me to even try it, or like it's so cool that they're gonna like do something with it. I have no idea.
There's about, I guess, 3 weeks, a year or a year and a half ago, where I ran CoreOS on my desktop as my primary developer machine, and it was
nice.
It was challenging. I won't lie.
Like everything's in a container then.
Yeah, everything had to be in a container, and it was painful.
Yeah, I tried that for a workstation for a little while, and I got a little annoyed because like for your own desktop, you want it to be pristine, but sometimes you just got to get stuff done, and you shortcut, and you wish you didn't. But yeah, we did.
Yes, that actually like keeps me up at night. I can't.
It would keep me up at night if all sorts of other things weren't already keeping me up at night. It's like there's no more time left. All right, so everybody want to talk about any news and projects?
Well, I actually had a question for Jess. Is there time still?
Yeah.
All right, so Jess.
There's always time for Jess.
Question about your prolific speaking life. What can you share with us? So we who are not speaking, we're not doing lightning talks, we're not doing conference talks. What can you share with us for us to take the first step?
So yeah, I think that the first time that I actually spoke somewhere was at a Brooklyn JS meetup in New York. And that was really cool because it was like all people that I knew there. So it was super comfortable feeling. So I would almost say like meetups are awesome as a start. And then I got asked because of Steve Francia to Gotham Go. So that was like my first big conference, and I was like super nervous. I think that's like the first time I also showed G parted in a container, which is super not related to Go, but I was just like taking up time.
They both start with a G. I mean,
yeah, it's around there. So yeah, I guess like even having people to like say that you should speak at certain conferences and stuff is huge.
Yeah, I agree with that. So my takeaway here is try to do it in a setting where you know people in the audience, and to make effort to invite people who are not speakers to start speaking. I had that experience myself. The first time that I did a lightning talk was my very first job out of school, my very first programming job, and I had to do it. It was so painful, but I didn't have an option. Otherwise, I would be like, no way. And I did it. Now, the second time that I did it again was a few years later, and it wasn't painful at all. So having that person there to say, hey, why don't you do this talk here? I think it helps a lot. Yeah,
I think nerves get to people, and coming from the other side too, like, Brian and I, right? we're a ball of nerves stepping up on stage, and all we have to do is welcome people. We don't have to give a technical talk, right? So I think being comfortable with the fact that I think everybody is nervous, and then thinking, the crowd doesn't want to see you fail, right? Everybody's rooting for you. Everybody wants you to do a good job. So I think getting over that, and more, you're talking to friends than this whole, the light you put yourself in sometimes helps. But yeah, and I mean, and having other people who speak a lot too is also helpful. Like that can give advice and kind of, make people understand that it's normal to feel that way.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who want to help on that front.
Yeah, there's been a number of people for GopherCon who have offered to like help review talks and to give speaking advice and all that stuff. And I'm actually quite surprised how much people rehearse. Like I never really thought about that. I was talking to Dave Cheney one time, and he was talking about how many times he rehearses it to make sure he's got his timing down right. And like he knows exactly like when he's falling behind and has to speed up or slow down and stuff like that, because he knows from this slide how long it takes to get to the end. And I'd never really thought about
Whoa.
it that way. Yeah. But preparation, right, is everything. If you're fully prepared, then you're not nearly as nervous because you've rehearsed it so many times. I think people step up on stage and they get nervous and they rush and they don't realize where they're sitting and whether they should slow down or speed up, which only adds to the nerves. And
Totally.
but yeah, and I mean, anybody who's speaking, we can compile a list too, because I know we've had a few people for GopherCon offer help with people wanting to get up on stage and speak, and we can make connections there where we can maybe get people advice on doing that. Did you submit a proposal to GopherCon, Jessie?
I do not think I did, probably because I was like so busy. But yeah, like in another year or so, I definitely want to. This is my first GopherCon that I'm like actually going to, and I'm so stoked.
That's gonna be awesome. Did you see that Jared started a container tech room on Hack Day?
Yes, I'm very excited for that. All he did was say containers, and I just like popped into his mentions. I feel like one of those people.
I love the response. Yes.
Yeah, so cool.
The idea there is get a bunch of people together who want to hack on things like Kubernetes and the various CoreOS projects and Docker and all that stuff. And that's one of the rooms I want to hang out in if I can hide for long enough.
There's too many cool things going on.
Hiding at conferences is key.
Yeah, but see, I have a phone and they keep calling me. And if I turn it off, they send people to come find me. There's only so many places you can hide.
Totally.
All right. So projects and news. Anybody got anything exciting they want to talk about?
Yeah. So talking about presentations, I got some help from Bill Kennedy recently to do my GoBridge talk at the Women Who Go event. So he gives me this formula that he was inspired by Dave Cheney's post, or like they worked on it together. I'm not very clear on that, but it made me lay out my talk so quickly and easily. And then he reviewed it, and then I got a better idea of what the formula was. And then I got so excited about it that I did I submitted 2 lightning talks for GopherCon, one for GopherCon and one for the kickoff party. I was like, yep, I got this. No problem. I can write. I have a formula. I just fill stuff in. And voila. Of course, I still need to put the slides together and still need to rehearse. But that, just getting the abstract and the intro ready in the conclusion, it's like once you got there, you got more than 50% of the content ready. And we put it up on the GoBridge arc. It's a repo called Presentation Help. So, and I hope people will add more to it too. So I just put this up today. I would love to see people contributing with links to other stuff. And I'll do that. I'll do that too with time as I run into things.
I'll have to find some too. Katrina Owen sent a bunch of like links and videos and book suggestions. I know she sent me on Twitter. for kind of the public speaking stuff. I'll find those. And
yeah, if you give them to me, I know you're super busy. I'll put it in. And she's also on the Women Who Go channel. And she has, last year, she put a bunch of information. She opened the Trello boards. Women, we have resources. So yeah, I want to get this thing kicked off. I know Cassandra Jill from Iron.io was looking for women to speak at the Gopher Fest recently. And she only got one submission from a woman, and it wasn't even technical enough. So there are women gophers out there. So let's get them speaking.
Totally.
Yeah, speaking of women gophers, that Women Who Go birthday party last week was awesome.
That was so much fun.
That was
the only one who missed out.
Sorry, Eric.
Late to the party. I was sitting home with FOMO.
Yeah, there were a lot of people I didn't get to talk to, Jessie included. The time just went by so fast, and yeah, it was awesome.
I feel that way every year at GopherCon. It's like, yay, we're here. This is going to be awesome. And then it's like, we're packing up and leaving.
Yeah, and you missed talking to 1,475 of your friends because you only got time to talk to 20.
Well, I feel bad too, because it was like the first year, we dealt with everything individually, but it's grown so big. And, doing the day jobs and stuff too. Like I'll look and I'll be like, there's speakers I didn't actually get to talk to. And like that, it's hard. So I want to try and change that this year. If I don't find all the speakers, they need to come find me, because I don't want to miss talking to speakers.
And now I'm just laughing because we know it's not going to happen. We're not going to get to talk to everybody. It's just not. It's not going to happen.
Show up at my door at home if I don't.
That's right.
At the conference. That'd be kind of hard. I don't think I want to publicize my address.
I will. Eric lives at. So another interesting open source project that got an update this week is GoKit, who has a fancy new pretty website, gokit.io. A very nice website with a good, clear explanation of the goals of the project and the details behind each of the packages. A long overdue update for their website. It looks really good. GoKit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We have to get Peter on sometime too and chat GoKit.
Yep, definitely.
I want to talk about a post I saw by Francesc on, what was it? I forget what he called it. It was like analyzing code with BigQuery or something.
Oh yeah, that was so cool.
I love his wit too, because it's like, 2 seconds and $7 later.
Yeah.
I want to work at that scale where like, you're just billing like, yeah, I needed to run a $7 query.
That was crazy though. When I saw that thing, I was like, one query for $7. Wow.
I want to see what the bill is to do that. Like, how much did that blog post cost?
What I want to know is, what is his budget? That's what I want.
Yeah.
Right?
All right, Jessie, you're the insider now. You got to tell us what his budget is.
I have no idea though. I mean, I don't even have a budget for cloud for my stuff, so.
You will soon.
There was some interesting things that came out of that though. Seeing, I mean, aside from like the crazy regular expressions that were on there, it was kind of cool seeing what packages people used most often.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a lot of it was logging packages, like Glog and Loggerus. And
yeah, there was a Loggerus and then another one that was like top 2.
I think the one that surprised me was Assert. Like it was used like more than anything. It was used more than like the context package and a bunch of other things. I was really kind of surprised to see that up there. The Testify framework, which I haven't actually used, but it must be used quite a bit for it to be up there. But I tend to stick old school. I use a lot of standard library.
Yeah, I usually use the standard. And then like, I think that we switched actually to Assert. No, we use GoCheck in Docker. But I've seen Assert used elsewhere, I guess.
I haven't used GoCheck either. Does it do mocking or anything like that? Or is it just extra assertions on?
It's just extra assertions. I think that we were going to use the other one and then we found some weird bug and then submitted a patch, but then decided to use GoCheck. I have no idea what we did there.
Somebody picked it and everybody stuck with it.
Yeah. And if we ever chose anything new today, it would become this huge like monstrosity because so many people would have opinions. It's like at some point you just have to choose it and then deal with the people that are mad.
I guess that's the benefit of working on smaller projects, right? Is because generally you can get more people to agree on stuff. The bigger it gets, you're almost guaranteed to have at least a couple people that you can't get consensus with, and people who won't move at all.
So the flip side of that, though, is the benefit of sticking with the standard library is you don't have to have fights about which testing library to use.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like we can all agree on one, or we can agree on none.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a couple extra steps and stuff to do your own assertions, but I haven't suffered enough to really go playing with another framework, and I think a lot of that's just time too.
It's especially in testing, though. There's really nothing that I need to do in testing that I haven't been able to do with the testing package.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I completely agree. Because every single testing that I write of my own is only the testing package. It's just cleaner, I feel like.
Yeah. Easier to read. And that's what Go's all about. Easy to read code.
Totally.
So the other thing I saw was who was it from Cloudflare that did the net HTTP timeout post?
Oh, Filipio. I don't know how to say his name.
That's right. Yeah. That actually had a couple of things in there that I didn't even realize. He walked through basically how all the timeouts and deadlines worked in the HTTP package. And there were a couple of them that actually surprised me. So one of them, what was it? It was like your write timeout included the read during the TLS handshake. And you wouldn't expect that. But there was a couple things like that. But that's an interesting read if anybody's interested in internals of stuff.
Yeah, their blog is it's so good for like a company blog. It's very detailed and technical.
It's deliciously technical.
It's so good. And they like go into kernel stuff too. There was one on like getting the kernel to send packets faster and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that post. That was a while ago. But
yeah, it's like burned in my brain. It was so good.
Yeah, I love watching all those posts on there. There was one last month that was something to do with optimizing TLS that was really good too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I geek out over a lot of their posts just because they're all super low level and technical.
Well, now I'm going to have to ask, do you ever read the Fastly blog?
No, I actually haven't. Do they have
They have a very good blog too. Yeah, they do.
I'm going to have to. You're giving me more stuff to read here. I don't have time for this.
Well, just read the right thing then.
So I need somebody to curate these lists for me. Brian does it with Go or GitHub projects. He just comes to me with a list of the cool ones. I don't have to dig through the whole thing. So now I just need somebody to give me a curated list of technical blog posts.
Yeah,
the more technical, the better. I like when they make me feel dumb because then means I have to learn stuff to understand it. Some of these, it's not hard to make me feel dumb either.
There's one more project I wanted to mention. Jesus Garcia Crespo. He mentioned Concourse, and I hadn't heard about it. It's a CLI, it's an open source CLI system for Go. So if you want to host your own CLI, not CLI, I'm sorry, CI.
CI, yeah. Concourse is a really neat CI.
Oh, cool.
If you want to host your own CI, we talked about CI so much, and I was not even saying the right thing. There we go.
That's a good one.
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, I was just jumping to Free Software Friday. If you've got something to add for Concourse, go for it.
No, I was just going to say that I tend to kind of lean towards either Jenkins or Bamboo just out of habit, but I need to give something else a try. But I haven't ran my own CI locally in quite some time. But yeah, so the other thing I actually just saw on Twitter, I think just before we started the show, was that etcd3 is now out.
Oh, whoa, cool.
Yeah.
What's changed there? So etcd2 brought gRPC, didn't it? I wonder what the big change is for etcd3.
Yeah, and one of them brought the new Raft protocol too. What was that?
Maybe that was
etcd2? Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah,
3 is where they changed to all the gRPC bits.
Yeah, and the one thing I know came in it was watches, like so you can watch for keys to change.
Oh, like Zookeeper style watches?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Other than that, I'd have to look because I haven't kept up with the release. That's the problem with like being excited about too many things is you can't 100% know what's going on in all of them. But that's one I vaguely remember. I think you are right though about gRPC being used instead of protobufs.
nice.
Or I'm sorry, using gRPC with protobufs rather, because before it was all HTTP and JSON, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, we should look after this. I want to see what else is in there. That doesn't help the listeners, but
well, they're helping us out on the Slack channel, so I'll read off the list. The
nice.
improved latency and throughput, less protocol overhead via gRPC API layer, better disk utilization, new storage backend with less memory overhead per key, automatic TLS configuration, flat binary key space, get and key watch by prefix, get and key watch by interval. Lots of good stuff here. I'm excited to see what etcd3 offers. This is cool.
See, they don't even need us anymore. We just need everybody who's in the channel.
Yeah. Thanks for feeding the stuff to us, guys.
They're talking about feeding. Jared just reminded us that there is such a thing as called Changelog Weekly. You're looking for feeds of awesome stuff. There we go, Eric.
That is right. How do we not talk about Changelog Weekly?
Yeah, it's every Saturday morning. Usually, I sleep in a little, so I get up and I open my phone, and there it is.
Your sleeping in is like 6 a.m. You're
Yes.
always up at like 5 a.m.
Yeah. So that's funny because I don't look forward to Changelog Weekly nearly as much as I look forward to Changelog Nightly, which I get almost midnight every night. That's when I know it's time to go to bed. I look at Changelog Nightly, which has a list of all of the bursting in interest things on GitHub. So it kind of shows you the projects that are taking off on GitHub, and that's kind of a neat way to catch new and interesting projects. So the Changelog Nightly email, that's my cue to go to bed. When I see that come through, I read it and then I go to bed.
Actually, I don't think I'm signed up for the nightly one. The weekly one I am, but not the nightly. That's terrible. I mean, how can you be a co-host on a Changelog podcast and not actually be subscribed to all of this stuff?
We're taking away your license to podcast.
Right? Next week it'll just be Brian and Carlicia.
Yeah, I don't know how you can subscribe to those things. I suspect that if you went to changelog.com and started clicking on buttons, you could find an email subscription form there, but they're both well worth it.
Nobody needs us. Somebody's about to drop them in the channel.
Yeah, that's right. Just wait for somebody to tell us on Slack what the URL is. Right. So on that note, we should probably move on to Free Software Friday. Right. So every week we like to say a shout out to either the projects or the maintainers of open source projects that make us happy. And it's something that we enjoy quite a bit because we know that oftentimes running an open source project or maintaining an open source project is a thankless job. So I'll start off this week with JQ. If you haven't used JQ, it's the most awesome command line tool ever if you need to deal with JSON. You can pipe JSON to JQ and pull out a single element. You can reformat it. You can prettify it. Pretty much anything you need to do with JSON on the command line, JQ is your tool. It's written in C. It's super fast. And I think it should be installed just like awk and sed and grep. It should be a standard Unix utility.
That's pretty cool.
Nice. I use that all the time. Yes, it should be in the core utils.
Yes.
Should come on all Linux installs.
Yeah.
Carlicia, what do you have?
I have this tool called Go Convey. And
yes.
See, I had never seen this. I don't use it, just disclaimer. It was mentioned to me by Ricardo Longa. And if you don't know what it is, it's a tool for testing, Go. But if you haven't used it or don't know, you have to go on the repo to check it out, because it's impossible to explain. It just makes your test run on your browser, and it's pretty and colorful.
Yeah, so Go Convey is really nice. There's two pieces to it. They have their own like assertion BDD sort of language framework. But the other piece is that they've got that beautiful UI for running your tests. So you can open up a web browser and you can watch everything be green or flash red when there's errors. And that doesn't require using their special test framework. You can use it with the standard testing package. So Go Convey is really nice. We use that.
Seems to be the confusion, I think, for some people, because unless they changed the website, it used to focus a lot on the custom assertion kind of framework they had, and it wasn't as noticeable. But you can use that with just standard library testing.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification, because being that I haven't used it, I don't know all the details. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's cool. It does browser notifications and stuff to show you passes and fails and all that stuff, so you can kind of just keep running. But yeah, it's a really cool project. And Jessie, we're kind of blindsiding you here, but you have an open source project you want to thank?
Totally. I mean, okay, so I have one, and then I have like a little small tidbit. Okay, so sorry, I got really excited because I really like this. There's this really cool project by Brian Redbeard from CoreOS. It's called GPG Git, and it automatically does the whole get this GPG signature and check it against this like file that I just downloaded without you having to do all that like same curl piping crap. So that's pretty neat. And then also my coworker from Docker, Michael Crosby, he has like the world's best gists, but like they're undocumented and just completely like random, but you'll find yourself in like this gold mine of just like something 75% finished but super epically awesome. So
they're
there's
just
that.
Searching around for treasures.
Yeah, and he's gonna be mad at me for stalking his gists.
We need the link. What is the link? What is the account name?
Oh,
I think it's
the
Crosby
GPG
Michael.
Git is Brian Redbeard /GPG Git, and then just Crosby Michael on GitHub gists.
Okay. Cool.
I'll link Michael's. We've seen a bunch of stuff by him before too.
Yeah, because you all know him.
Yeah, from back in the whole Skynet thing that
Nice.
kind of got abandoned.
SkyDoc. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so the only thing that lived through all of that was SkyDNS.
But at least it lived well.
Yeah.
And still lives.
Yeah. Until
Yeah,
somebody
legit.
writes something better. All right. So my project this week is Ranger, which is a file manager for Linux, and it has VI key bindings. It's all written in curses and all that jazz. So that's kind of what I use on my system when I need a file manager anyway. But it has kind of cool previews and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have to admit, I hadn't seen that before. But when you put it in the show notes, I brew installed it on my Mac, and I was instantly impressed because command line file management is awesome.
Yeah, it's got
Nice.
multiple columns and all that good
Reminds me of
stuff.
Midnight Commander,
But better.
but better. Yeah,
It has
showing
to be
my
better.
DOS age. When I was a kid, we didn't have Windows. We had DOS, and we used Midnight Commander.
I have a DOS computer in front of me right now.
Nice.
Of course you do.
That's not your work computer, is it?
No, it's just everything else is stacked on top of it right now.
I don't think I want to know what a C or C++ build takes on that.
Oh god, it's so bad probably.
It doesn't count if you're using it as a monitor stand, Jesse.
Right? It has to be on.
Yeah.
It has to have
It
power.
really has a computer on top of it, and then it's a plant.
Is that the San Francisco version of like a college apartment? Rather than like milk crates, you have like old like 486 computers and stuff like that as coffee tables?
Pretty
And
much, I'm
tables?
like a San Francisco computer hipster.
No, a lot of people are getting back into collecting old hardware like that. And what was that new Kickstarter that just came out? The chip, like that looked really cool too. Being able to play kind of retro games on it and stuff.
Oh, I haven't
Whoa,
seen that.
nice.
Yeah, I'll have to link to that. Dave just got one. He was all pumped. He sent me a picture. He's like, dude, it came. He's awesome. He's like so addicted to hardware too.
He does the coolest projects.
What I want to know is how people get the time for all this stuff. I feel like there's just not enough time in a day.
I think it has something to do with no kids.
And no sleep.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think we got the no sleep thing covered.
Oh, totally. By your kids, though.
That's
it's
true
just using
too.
that time for something else.
All right. Does anybody have anything else we want to chat about before we call it wraps? I think we are about out of time.
I don't think there's anything we didn't cover. Did we miss anything on the whole internet today? I don't think
This
so.
is fun. I think we could hang out here all day.
Mm-hmm.
It's still early where you are, right, Jessie?
Yeah, it's like 2.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for being on the show, especially Jessie. This has been a lot of fun. I want to thank the listeners. I definitely want to thank our new sponsors, Linode and Equinox. What's that?
I said hooray. And I'd also like to thank Duncan for interrupting our broadcast when my kids showed up.
We have a new co-host.
Yeah, Duncan, my dog. The kids think he's named after Dunkin' Donuts, but he's really named after Duncan, Idaho from Dune.
All right. So if you are not subscribed already, go to GoTime FM to subscribe. We follow us on Twitter, which is GoTime FM. You can find us on Slack in GoTime FM channel. And we have a GitHub, which is GoTime FM/ping if you want to suggest topics or guests. And I think that's it. Show notes. We will have everything we've talked about, and we will put links to both Equinox and Linode and any discount codes that we have available for those. And I think with that said, and next week we are gone because all of us here will be at GopherCon. So we can have a live roundtable discussion. Not live like recorded, but live like come talk to us discussion.
It's not next week though.
No, next week
you're
we're recording.
Next week we have Bayang.
That's right.
Don't take that week away from me, Eric. I need it.
We're losing time. For some reason, I'm thinking next week. Okay, so yes, next week we have Biang from SourceGraph on the show, and then it's Gopher.
Then it's Gopher, and we will be live streaming GopherCon this year on Twitch. So if you're in the audience and you won't be able to make it to GopherCon, twitch.tv/GopherCon. That is going to be epic.
I'm excited.
Super.
I'm so stoked.
Yeah, come find us too, Jessie.
Oh, I will. I will be finding everyone. You'll like be sad that I'm there at one point because you'll be like, "Oh, Jessie."
We're gonna send you we're gonna give you like a paper, like the head sheet or face sheet with pictures of everybody, and you're gonna have to mark them off when you find them.
Oh my gosh, like bingo.
A bingo, yeah.
Turn it into like a whole game for everybody. They have to like acquire something from each person on the list.
Nice.
So Jessie is not on the GoTime Slack channel, but Adam is saying, say hi on camera with us, Jessie. That's Adam from Changelog.
Oh yeah, that's right. Changelog will be there because we love Changelog. So they'll be there doing interviews with everybody. So yeah, come over and say hi on camera.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I promise they edit it, so they won't make you look bad.
Nice. I mean, there's so many bad shots of me in conference videos that it does not matter.
It's like DMV photos. The ones you want to see never end up there. Like,
yeah, I feel like it's just an ultimate troll.
If you want to see the worst one, the state of Florida with their concealed carry permits.
Oh my God.
Everybody I've ever seen their picture on their concealed carry permit looks like they should not get a gun. It's like you'll see the picture beforehand, it looks fine, and then it shows up at your door and it's all zoomed in and like weird shadowy, so like your eyes look all dark and you just look evil.
Black and white. Mine makes me look like the Unabomber.
Yeah. If you find us at the show, Jessie, Brian and I will show you. Like you look at it and you're like, yeah, I would not give that guy a gun. That's makes
nice.
I've seen worse though. I have seen worse. All right. Oh, see, I love Slack. This is awesome. Yeah, Adam's reminding us.
Just telling us what to do on Slack right? Now.
We are scripted.
I'm telling you, they don't need us.
Just replace us with a bot.
So at GopherCon, we will be giving out T-shirts. So if you want a T-shirt, and has everybody noticed the cool logo for GoTime now? It's like this cool little sphere thing, but if you look closely,
No,
there's hidden
no,
gopher
no.
in it.
No.
You
Whoa.
spoiled the secret,
You
Eric.
spoiled, Eric.
It was supposed to be a secret.
It's supposed to be something you discover on your own. Like, oh my gosh, there's a gopher here all along for 3 years.
so
I hadn't seen
cute.
it.
It's trippy, isn't it?
Oh, I had such a kick when I noticed it. It was like, look at that.
I don't know. I think I see gophers all the time. So it was like as soon as I saw the logo, I saw the gopher.
It's like going to Disneyland. Oh, look, there's another Mickey. There's another Mickey. Oh, there's another gopher.
See, Todd's in Go Time FM channel, and he said it's not a secret. He noticed as soon as he subscribed.
See, there's no secret. You didn't screw it up, Eric. Good job.
No, it's all right.
All right, so I think we're extending everything. We should probably wrap this up though, and we've already said all of our closing stuff. So I guess all that's left is goodbyes, and we'll see everybody next week.
Thanks, Jessie.
Thank
Jessie.
you for having me. This was cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jessie. This was super fun.
Yeah, we'll have you back on when you get like more into what you're doing at Kubernetes, and you can talk to us about it.
Now, we're not bringing you back until you have a budget.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to tell us somebody's budget. If it's not your own budget, it's got to be somebody else's.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if you make one
Okay,
up, we won't know the difference anyway. Hint. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
That was fun.
Goodbye.
Bye.